Good evening, everyone. I'm Wesley Lopez, and I have been so honored to serve on the MYOB team this year. This evening, it is my pleasure to welcome the panel to the stage. I would like the audience to help me as I individually welcome the 2013 Mind Your Own Business panel. First up, Aiden Augustine, co-founder and CEO of Feather, a Gainesville-based mobile software startup. Feather developed the app for UF Tech Showcase and the TEDx UF event. We are also using the Feather app this evening. Welcome, Aiden. Up next, Byron Young. Owner and founder of Corduroys, he quit the UF building construction program in 1998 to pursue what makes him happiest, creating. Corduroys has now grown and has been featured on ABC's Shark Tank this year and struck a deal with one of the Shark Tank investors. Welcome, Byron. Up next, Rich Blazer, a graduate of Buchholz himself. He is the CEO and co-founder of Infinite Energy in 1994. Infinite Energy sells natural gas and electricity in 5 states and has over 375 employees. The company has been recognized by the Florida Trend magazine 4 of the last 5 years as one of the best large companies to work for in Florida. Welcome, Rich. Up next, Trevor Abbott, founder and chairman of Gator Innovators and founder and CEO of SpinChill. Trevor is a UF student pursuing his undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering while bringing together students and startups to better connect the community and provide resources for hopeful entrepreneurs. Welcome, Trevor. Up next, Valerie Sheehan, president and CEO of ToneWrite, the world's most advanced and premier play-in device. ToneWrite significantly accelerates the play-in process and provides increased tone, playability, and balance for musical instruments. Welcome, Valerie. Our moderator for tonight's event is Whit Whitney, entrepreneur in residence in the University of Florida's College of Engineering. In this role, Whitney works with College of Engineering faculty and student entrepreneurs to become more innovative and successful in starting, operating, and leading companies. His hands-on approach draws upon proven strategies and tactics for accelerating innovation and in training entrepreneurs to be effective and successful leaders of their companies. Welcome, David. With this, I turn control over to Mr. Whitney, and I hope everyone enjoys tonight's discussion.
Thank you, Wesley, and welcome, Bobcat Nation. So you will quickly understand the passion that is found on this stage from the panel. So I thought I would give a shout out and ask all of you in Bobcat Nation to maybe show your passion with a little bit of a cheer or let us know that you're there. How about that? Bobcat Nation. I like it. Well, this is what we're up against. This is our kind of a crowd. I've had the pleasure of working with our panel as well as knowing many of the people affiliated with the Academy. And I would like to just commend all of you, from your teachers to your leaders, student leaders, and to the parents and the grandparents and the siblings who support your efforts. It truly does take a village, and for that, we are all thankful. Keep up the great work. Okay, so there is so much ground to cover, and we'll have some fun doing it. Aiden, I'd like to start with you. Your approach to business has been so interesting and so determined. And you said something earlier that quit was just not a part of your lexicon. Why didn't you quit?
That comes down to believing in the problem you're trying to solve. So this is a big part when you're starting a company. You try to latch onto a problem that you know the world would be better off if you could solve it. And you got to believe that you're the only one who has the ability to solve it. And that's what gets you up in the morning every day.
Byron, solving a problem is always something that entrepreneurs stress that they know and they think that they can do well. Your business is wildly successful, and as we talked about behind off stage, you didn't necessarily solve a problem, except that you maybe wanted to make some money.
Well, I guess it solves a problem as far as having, sleeping unexpected guests and things like that. But you're right. I mean, I think that the problem I was solving was that I was trying to find a product. For me, the product didn't matter so much. I felt like I could take any unique idea that no one else was doing and make it work. I wasn't that concerned about the product, to tell you the truth. But then again, if it doesn't work, you eventually have to quit and start something else. This one happened to work, and then once it started working, the years just started flying by at that point, and it's all a blur for 10 years because you're just doing the things that come natural at that point. But believe me, what you didn't hear about were the ones that didn't work, and there were several.
Byron's ability to watch life go by in a blur, Rich, is something that we've talked about, and your passion for so many goals that just seem to be out of reach really indicate the kind of person you are. Where did you get that inspiration to reach for goals that were just seemingly out of reach?
Well, I guess it would be when I first, many people know, many of you don't know, that I got kicked out of college because of my grades. And when I was in school, I had no direction. Really didn't have a focus of what I wanted to do. And so I just was meandering around, not figuring out where I was going to go. And once I figured out where I wanted to go and decided I wanted to go and get my degree in finance, and I went to the counselor and said, I want to graduate with finance. They said, your GPA is too low. Your chances of graduating and getting into finance school, or the business school for that matter, it's not going to happen. And that was the first time in my life I can remember back where I achieved a goal that someone much older than me said, you can't do this.
When someone's told you that that you can't do it, what does that do for you inside?
It burns a fire inside of me. Because if I know I can do it, I don't care what you think.
Did you hear that, people? It doesn't matter what somebody else says. It's what you believe. Trevor Abbott is involved in so many different activities at the University of Florida and in Gainesville's entrepreneurial community. One in particular has really caught the fancy of the community, and that's a business called Spin Chill. Trevor, there's so much to talk about at Spin Chill, but one thing that I find remarkable is your experience with this platform that I'm sure many of our friends in the audience know all about, called Kickstarter. Tell us about Kickstarter.
So Kickstarter, after developing Spin Chill and showing it off in the Gainesville community, we had a really great experience with it. First off, we enjoyed showing it to people, and people liked it. So we developed it further, and Kickstarter for us just kind of seemed like the natural route to go. We had been watching Kickstarter, introduced to it, and seeing what products did well on there. And then once we had a product that was developed enough to launch on Kickstarter, we spent 2.5 months developing the campaign for it and had a great experience with it. So it was a phenomenal route for us to go, and it worked out great.
Would you mind telling the audience what your goal was on Kickstarter?
Yeah. So to start out with our goal, like I said, we worked on it for about 2.5 months, a campaign. You have to do a whole video, structure a whole campaign around it. And so we did, and our initial amount that we were going to ask for was going to be $20,000 because that's what we needed to make the molds for our products. Well, we ended up getting the cost way down, and it got to a point where we really didn't even need a ton of money. So we kind of threw out an arbitrary number. $10,000 is what we were going to raise in 30 days was our goal. We ended up getting that on the 10th day, and we finished at a little over 40,000 in the 30-day period.
Remarkable. Valerie, Trevor's experience is a perfect segue into you. Every time I think of you and look at you, I always think determination. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think we have some very remarkable panelists on this stage. Valerie is a very determined person. Have you ever given up on anything?
No.
So where does this come? Where does this thriving in the face of failure? You spoke about that earlier. Where does that? What you know?
Well, I think it started when I was quite young because my first word as a child or as a baby was no. It wasn't mom, it wasn't dad, it was no.
Keep up the good work, parents. Keep saying no.
So now when I hear the word no, that keeps me fighting even harder. I think I learned a lot from my parents, mother in military, father military. So I've just was raised working very hard.
For all the panelists, if you could just move your mics closer to you so that we can hear you, the audience can hear you well.